Over the last few months, the market in cryptocurrency has been inundated with especially positive news about Asian nations, specifically China, having a very warm reception to blockchain technology. And this is being interpreted as very bullish for the market and very positive overall for the space. But here at Cracking Cryptocurrency, we have to stop and ask the question, what price do we have to pay for this potential new wave of adoption? The original spirit of Bitcoin and blockchain was about empowering individual freedom and liberty. And are we okay, for the sake of adoption, for the greatest financial revolution, one of the greatest technological revolutions in history, to be utilized by nation states who are opposed to freedom by their very ethos, to allow this technology to be used for surveillance, malfeasance, and subversion of the regular individual? Stay tuned for today's exciting episode of Breaking Bitcoin. Welcome to Breaking Bitcoin, ladies and gentlemen, recorded live here in the studio. It is Wednesday, November 6th, 2019. Foul year of our Lord. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. I am your host, Justin Wise. I am the lead analyst and co-founder of crackingcryptocurrency.com. Hopefully you guys are doing absolutely fantastic wherever you happen to be tuning in from, and whether you are watching us from across YouTube, Twitch, DLive, or on Facebook. Wait. YouTube, Twitch, DLive, Facebook Live, or on Roku. Yes, that thing your grandparents used to watch Netflix because they don't want to buy a Chromecast. With the Investor News Channel app. If you would like to support the show, and we would really appreciate it, make sure to subscribe if you're on that platform, or give us a follow and share us around to your family, your friends, hell, even people you don't even like. This information is important, and we need to get this in front of as many people as humanly possible. All right, guys. We've got a fantastic show for you guys today. Of course, today's episode is brought to you by the Cracking Cryptocurrency Premium Trading Group. If you are interested in becoming either a full-time professional trader, or you are interested in how to earn passive income on the side, or if you, like myself and many of our members, are interested in utilizing this aspect and volatility of the cryptocurrency markets to take control of your financial freedom and never have to report to your 9-to-5 job again, come join us in the group at premium.crackingcryptocurrency.com and take that first step, which is what I had to do. Lily pad off of the 9-to-5, lily pad off of the wage slave job, and into the world of financial freedom, and learn how to control your own financial future. We've got a great show. I'm fired up, guys. Of course, a little bit of a somber tone because we're going to be talking about some heavy stuff. But before we get into that, let's do some fun stuff. Let's give away some crypto. So one second, actually, because I don't have my keyboard over here, so this will just take a second. Let's give away some cryptocurrency, because we do give away some crypto every single day on this channel to a random YouTube comment winner. I also want to give a big shout out to our recent Twitter winner. We gave away a Ledger Nano S just recently. I'm just waiting for the DM so I can get that over to you, sir. Also, I am just waiting on the reply back from DLive to let us know who won, who were the top 4 winners of our DLive live stream from San Francisco Blockchain Week giveaway. We will be giving away these dice. We will be giving away that Lino hat that you can see over there. And of course, we're also going to be giving away another Ledger Nano as well. So congratulations to those people. I don't know who you are yet, but we will get that out to you as soon as I hear back from DLive. It will be this week. Now, or I'll just send them out myself. I'll just randomly pick people out of the hat. But of course, DLive's really good. We have a good relationship with them over there. So anyways, let's give away some cryptocurrency, guys. And I want to give a big shout out to this month's, and previous month, actually, crypto comment giveaway sponsor, Spectre Security Coin. If you guys want to improve the security of your website, of your project, or if you're a coin developer and you want help revamping your project, make sure to check out Spectre Security Coin. They have a fantastic team. They're very good at what they do. Good friends of the show, spectresecurity.io. Let's do this, guys. All right, we're looking at the live scene right now, but just one moment and we'll get this all patched up for you. So the first thing that I need to do All right, we're good to go. I need to head on over to the random YouTube comment picker, and I'm going to choose a video and paste the URL in from yesterday's video. Of course, yesterday was a fantastic show. We talked about the $1,000 CME wick closing the gap. Is this bullish or bearish for Bitcoin and China's crypto to destroy the USD? We talked about the gold-backed Chinese cryptocurrency project that Max Kaiser teased at, gave our thoughts on that. We also covered the FTX lawsuit, the exchange, crypto derivatives exchange, FTX getting hit with a $150 million lawsuit, and Huobi banning American traders, as well as our just what we do here every day. So we're going to randomly pick a winner. And it was Bird B1RD. Thank you so much for the comment, my good friend. He says, glad to have you back. It is good to be back, my friend. Get a hold of me in the Discord. Actually, if you just go to Spectre, S-P-E-C-T-R-E, discord.crackingcryptocurrency.com. That'll take you right to the Spectre Discord. Shoot me a DM from there at JustinWise5696, and I will tip you some crypto, my good friend. Spectre makes that very easy for us to do. So with that being said, hopping over into the live scene. All right, good. Everything is looking good. All right, so let's hop on over here, and we are looking at Bitcoin trash right now, but we will take a brief assuage from that and go look at the big dog Bitcoin, of course. And I do want to make sure that, yes, if I do maximize that, yes, you guys can just see the screen a little bit easier. So let's go ahead and start off on the daily, talk about where we're at from yesterday. We talked about yesterday, what I was looking for yesterday. And as I said last night to the members in the group with my evening analysis and daily scan of the market, where I do look for trade setups as I teach individuals to do. What we were looking for yesterday was an opportunity to enter into a continuation long trade on BTC USD. Now, I am charting on the Bitstamp chart, BTC USD, which I do like to do for longer term analysis. However, I do prefer trading on ByBit. That is the exchange that I much prefer. It's the exchange where I do most of my damage nowadays. There is a link down in the description if you would like to make the switch from BitMEX as well. But here on the Bitstamp chart, we are currently trading at a price right now of 92.88 as we speak, with current overhead resistance at 94.27 to 96.99. That is the order block that I am keeping my eye on. Now, there are a couple interesting things here. We're going to talk about price action first, and then we'll get into trade setups. Did not take a long. I actually have no position on Bitcoin right now. I do have long positions on all three of the other major USD pairs on ByBit. That is going to include Ethereum USD, EOS USD, and of course ZERP USD as well, which breaks my heart, but I do trade ZERP. It is quite nice and volatile and good for returns. Now, last night I was looking for the long signal on BTC to take a long trade on Bitcoin. What would have been the impetus for that? It would have been a confirmed Minx crossover. This is my primary entry indicator. This is a proprietary indicator. When very simple, I trade very simply. I try to teach very simply. If the green line crosses the red line, guess what? We take a long position on Bitcoin. It is that simple. It's not just that simple. Other factors have to be confluent, but if we look at our other confluent factors, commodity channel index is above our zero line, acting as a centered oscillator. Wadatar explosion has been giving us the go-ahead. Yesterday did not. We see that volatility is dying off. And actually what's interesting is that in this particular trade setup, because we've already gotten bullish initiation and are in a bullish area of the chart, we actually don't need approval from our volatility filter. So we're just going to distance ourselves from that. And looking at time transformation, we had already had this bottoming above the zero line, almost directly on the zero line, which is actually interesting and quite bullish. Again, as I talked about yesterday at length, what this represents is a reversion to the mean after an overextension. After a slight pullback, we have pulled back to the mean of price. And when we do bottom, when we do get a confirmed cross and close, as we did 2 days ago now, that is generally a continuation signal. However, this time transformation is going to be secondary to these three indicators, in addition to our 30-period Donchian, which is also delineating the fact that we are above the 30-period Donchian. Price is crossing and closing above the 30-period Donchian. Therefore, we are okay to look for long signals. That is, I am a systems trader. That is how the approach works. This is a particular application of my strategy, overall strategy, which is Pathways to Profit, where we build systems trading algorithms. And this is exactly what I teach people to do in the group. This might not be your PTP system. These indicators are not PTP. They are an example of a PTP system and the one that I am currently live trading. I do have several other systems that I run as well, but this is my primary one that I am running currently at the moment. Always working, tweaking, changing, back testing, forward testing, and looking to improve, because as the market changes dynamically, so must my settings, indicators, and parameters. But generally, I take a very long-term approach. I generally only update, I like to compile 3 to 6 months of data, and then I'll slowly implement changes. I've been trading the same approach in cryptocurrency for the last 3 years, and it has done well for me and my family and my students. So there's no need to change what isn't broken. Well, we just look to optimize over time. So not in an active position on Bitcoin because one was not signaled for last night at the daily close. Subjectively, I think the sentiment from a lot of the traders in the group, from a lot of the members in the premium group as well, is that this price action is looking fairly droopy. I'm also seeing this sentiment a lot on crypto Twitter, as well as my other analysts here on YouTube. A lot of people talking about a steep dive down, actually all the way down to support down here at 82.08 to 79.91. Now, I actually don't feel that that is going to happen. I don't think that that is what we're going to see, because the reality is unless this is a massive abnormality or irregularity in market structure and how markets behave, we had the third largest move in Bitcoin's history down here, where we moved 42% to the upside in less than 48 hours. And to be quite honest, most of that activity, as they do in the markets, occurred over a small window of time. About 3 hours in total accounted for the majority of that large price appreciation. What's very interesting about this is that the narrative that I believe that I'm hearing, and I've actually talked about this a little bit, is that this is just a big stop loss hunt before a large descent down. And although that is possible, you can never look at the markets and say, well, that idea, that theory is absolutely impossible. You can never say that. What you can say is that is highly unlikely. That's highly unlikely. I find it highly unlikely that individuals stepped in and pushed price up 42% merely to fill liquidity. Stop loss hunts, I can understand. They absolutely do happen. Here is a good example of one right here, where you are, kind of tucking around resistance, where you are looking to clear this previous block that we had right here, which we'll come back to here in just a second, which is actually forming this order block right here that we formed back in May, is actually forming our current level of support. By the way, Saintsy, thank you so much for the £5, my good friend. Hope you're doing well over there. He says, are you still flat? And if so, what strategy to get back in? PS, great to have you and the team back. It's good to be back, my friend. So as I just explained, I am still flat. And what strategy am I looking at to get back in? Again, I'm simply looking for that minx crossover. That is going to be, all my other indicators are bullish right now. That might change tonight. I think it's unlikely. That probably will not change until Thursday or Friday. And what I mean by that is commodity channel index. If price continues to droop, or if we put in a bearish candle, anywhere from like a 2 to 3% bearish candle, then it is quite possible the commodity channel index will go below zero, which means I will not be looking for longs anymore. I will be looking for longs. I won't be looking for shorts until we're actually below, unless I do get a reversal signal, which I'm not at this point in time. The only reversal kind of setup that I could see here, and we'll talk about this in just a second, actually, is it not a move down to 8,200, but a move down to 8,800, 8,700, which is actually where I had limit orders previously until I opened up my last position on Bitcoin, which was mostly a break-even trade. And to be quite honest with you, it was a trade that I made out of pocket. I was traveling. It was one of the few trades that I made while I was in San Francisco. I ended up closing it out for a small loss. Now I do, hold on, let me lay the groundwork here before I talk about this move down to 88, 8,700. So from a PTP perspective, definitely looking for longs. If I get that minx crossover, I will be going long. Now let's correlate that. Let's correlate PTP strategy with a little bit of order block theory here and price action. And the reality is, with price trading, again, now price trading at 92.79, not a whole lot of intraday volatility. Today is a fairly boring day. Therefore, altcoins are generally doing okay today. They did well last night. I ended up entering into Nano last night. Obviously, Nano took off quite well. I entered into ICX, ended up closing out fairly quickly due to just kind of the sentiment from the traders last night when we had our evening roundup for the analysts that work at Kraken Cryptocurrency. The sentiment last night was actually fairly bullish, mostly looking at Ethereum and feeling that we were going to kind of wake up to a good sea of green. Honestly, that hasn't really happened. We've continued to see price continue to remain sideways and flat. But the reality is that we've seen a week of this sideways activity, and it's always generally right now when people are looking at these big altcoin pumps and thinking that now is the time. Oh man, Bitcoin's doing nothing, I'm going to go trade altcoins. It's almost always at that moment in time when Bitcoin makes a movement, a fairly significantly volatile movement, and just absolutely shatters alt BTC returns. So for that reason, I felt it was more prudent to go ahead and exit out of those trades early. Again, ended up closing out with a profit, which was good, about 1% after about 2 hours of open trades, which is pretty nice. I mean, I can't complain about that. So everything's pretty good. Everything's good. November's off to a good profitable start, especially with ONT USDT. Was able to capture the majority of that move. That was a good trade. That was probably our most significant trade that we've locked in so far here for the month of November. Of course, really for me, the month is really just getting started because I've now returned from San Francisco and now back to active trading. I want to make sure that I actually mute my phone. Just a second here. Down, down, and down. Cool. Got my new phone in the mail today. It's right over there. I haven't set it up yet. This is the Google Pixel 4. I know, Google. But the phone over there in the corner right now is the Google Pixel 4 XL 128, baby. And pretty excited to get that set up. I'll actually be returning this Google Pixel 4 later today. And now Google thinks that I'm talking to it, which is highly annoying. So hold on, I just want to pull up the live chat, make sure that I'm catching you guys. Okay, now, so we have this order block from 94.27 to 96.99. So if you wanted to kind of split that baby, you just say 94.30 to about 9,700. That's where the area of current resistance is at. Obviously, this was formed by this order block over here, as well as just very clear, visible horizontal support. Again, I talked about kind of the similarity between this level and the 6K level of Bitcoin. I actually talked about this theory yesterday, which is, viewing the price activity of 2019 as a microcosm of the price activity of 2017, 2018. It's just occurred in a much quicker fashion, where, again, we have this just highly volatile parabolic run to the upside. We top out, huge, almost immediate swift sell-off to a level of support. And then after a few lower highs, a price ends up just consolidating very tightly around that level until we have this slow slump off into a huge, massive sell-off. Again, I mean, this movement right here looks almost identical to 2017 and 2018. And again, this even looks very similar to the beginning accumulation phase of 2019 as well, with the huge, massive breakout. And then we moved sideways, and what happened after that, we did continue on to the upside. So I am bullish. My overall sentiment is bullish. What do I see for price action right now? There's a couple things that I'm monitoring and watching for. If we get a green candle from here and we cross and close above 94.27, so meaning we go from where we're at currently right here with price trading at 92.88 right now, and we close a daily candle inside of this dotted yellow line territory, which is going to be the area of resistance, which is our current resistant order block. If we cross and close inside there, two things are going to happen. One, this is an area of resistance that we've tested multiple times. Crossing and closing above that would be, to me, a violation and a penetration of that order block, i.e. a breakout signal from price action perspective. But more germane to the way that I trade, that is also going to be initiating minks crossing above the noise line. And that is going to be the long signal that I've looked for. So I have two confluent factors there to justify me taking a position. That is going to be what I'm looking for. That is going to be the signal that I'm looking for. If you're looking at it from an indicator systems trading based perspective, you're simply looking for minks to cross and close above the noise line or whatever your primary entry indicator is at this point in time. From a price action perspective, you're looking for that cross and close up above 94.27 on the daily time frame to really justify a good breakout here. Now, before that happens, the thing that I think is most likely, based on the fact that we have had somewhat of a failure to achieve. Obviously, we have this nice blow off top and high, and what we've formed is a lower high. We've also formed another lower high as well. So I do see this somewhat as a potential failure to achieve pattern. So I think more likely from here is a little bit of a sell-off, again, down to retest the baseline to give us a nice reversal baseline bounce to kind of shake out anybody that is longing this breakout at this point in time, to punish individuals who are longing from here. I don't see price going down to 82.08, 79.91. Now, as soon as we cross and close below 8,800, then I'll be looking for short positions, because that will be setting us up for a short. And if we look at where commodity channel index is at, if we look at where minks is at, commodity channel index is very close to closing, to crossing below that zero line and giving us a short setup. I assume that volatility would be rising as well on that move, especially if we have a very nice large red candle that actually pushes us down there. And Minx is already negative, telling us we can be looking for shorts. Now, we are still in bullish control zone and still above the 30-period Donchian, so it's not really appropriate to be looking for that reversal setup right now because we do not like taking reversal trades here. But again, it is something to be mindful of, that it would be the cross and close below 8,800 that would shift a lot of this and be setting us up kind of for that short trade, potentially, again, down to 8,200. But right now, I just see what I think is more likely is to see price move down to that 88, 8,700. Hopefully get some limit orders filled. That is where I'm going to be scattering limit orders later on this evening. I had pulled them previously from when I first posted about it with my market analysis in the premium group, but I am going to be setting those back down there today to get filled again for a reversal baseline bounce. The baseline coming in now at 88.21, so 87, 88. I'd like to get filled on some wicks down there. So that either scenario, so either getting filled at the baseline for a reversal baseline bounce or looking for that breakout entry above. Right now, that's all I'm looking for. I don't think it's appropriate to be looking for like long-term short positions. I'm not bearish on Bitcoin. I am actually bullish on Bitcoin at this point in time. I'm happy to have my mind changed if the market moves because I don't try to trade subjectively, as you guys know. I just simply look at what price is telling me. That's the only data point on the chart. We have one and only one data point that everything else is derived from, and that is current price. That's the only thing that matters. Current price is the only thing that can tell you in which direction price is moving. And so all these people that try to build models or trade chart patterns or look at waves, all this nonsense is not predictive, is not helpful to trading. Has never generated consistent results for me. And I do not know any professional traders who use Elliott waves. Don't know any professional traders who use Elliott waves, and I don't know any professional traders who trade chart patterns blindly. They only use chart patterns the same way that I utilize order blocks and support and resistance to add confluence to your trading, to add confirmation to your trading, to give you confidence in your setups, to add another data point, to add another data plot. But again, none of these lines on my chart would matter if my indicators were telling me to do something different, because that is the way to trade a system. Okay, however, I do want to point out one level of confluence, which is doing something that I don't really like doing, which is if we do draw a trend line connecting the highs of recent price action, and we just trail that down as a descending trend line, and then we do the same thing for our low wicks right here. And again, I don't want to hear any like, oh my God, you're drawing like the wicks wrong. I don't care. I don't like trading like this anyways. Here we go. That's about the best fit, which is how I always use trend lines when I did use trend lines, just best fit. Again, we do have price contracting in a falling pizza formation. Shout out to Crown. In this contracting falling pizza formation. And just for a little bit of confluence, we have broken out of that level. And we are consolidating above it. We have back tested and tested that as support. For me, it would be back testing and testing the region of the baseline here. But again, you can see some nice confluence there if we do draw these subjective trend lines. And what's interesting is that the point of touch right here, so the retest for full confirmation is going to be right where our baseline's at. I mean, directly right where our baseline is at. I mean, they're touching. It's beautiful. So for that reason, I do think that there is some good confluence to predict or expect to move down to that 88, 8,700 where I'd like to get filled. And then again, managing my risk with ATR, with Quadriga ATR below that level. So that's the current setup for Bitcoin that I'm looking for. That is where I'm at. Not in an active position right now, looking to get filled around 88, 87, looking to take price up to around 10.8. That's going to be the next level of resistance. If we look at where Quadriga is telling us to be setting our sights right now as well, this is our stop and target system that is proprietary. Every member of the group gets access to this indicator. If we look at where price is telling us to go, that is going to be our third take profit target up there around the 10.8. And I would actually be quite positive for this move, obviously making some stops in price action along the way around 97 and 10.2. So that would be what I'd be looking for right now if one was entering into a position now. But again, I think that the confluence between this order block up here and also take profit 3 gives us kind of a nice good R to R on our trade setup. And then managing risk on a close below the baseline right now, which is around 88.21, and also managing risk with our stop and target and risk management system as well here at Kraken Cryptocurrency. So it's good. Overall, good day, feel good. Market seems very clear, very clean to me. It always kind of is when you're not in an active position. You don't have that greed and wanderlust kind of corrupting and influencing your thoughts. So with that being said, let's take a brief break and see what you guys are saying in the chat. And then we will We'll go look at some more stuff here. It's hard says, I am 66% bearish. I am 66% dressed. Just kidding. Basically, rebel against any sort of biometrics where the government can ID you and track you like you're some sort of rare species in the wild. I am some sort of rare species in the wild, and so are you, sir. Be proud of that. Who cares about the Book of John if you're going to get rich? Thanks, Jack. I didn't get the HTC Exodus. No, Scott was really trying to push the HTC Exodus on me. Actually, I'm not going to say that. Like Scott was really talking up the HTC Exodus, but I did decide to go with the. We talked about it, and we did decide that the Google Pixel 4 XL made more sense for the camera because we are going to be doing a lot of footage. I can always get the HTC Exodus if I want it for the blockchain functionality, but we'll kind of see where Google takes this, to be quite honest with you. Let's see here. It's hard. DIY guy, Sean Bond. Good to see you guys in the chat. Mbait22 says, join us today and hear Justin tell everyone where he wants to get filled. Ooh, sick burn. Agency, good to see you, man. Maybe a GAN fan could do it. Hell yes. It's hard says, nothing special. Waiting for Bitcoin's breakdown. I'm in a short position for 10 days. Boring time. He spelled boring BOARING. So boring in those holes, man. Got to plug up. Got to put the holes in the deck so we can take price down to the downside. Be Smooth wants to check out Litecoin, and Wayne Arndt, hopefully you're doing well, my friend, wants us to check out Overstock stock. To be honest with you guys, I'm definitely going to check out, let's go look at Ethereum, EOS, Litecoin, Ripple. What's really, really interesting is I'm actually getting more and more excited to begin trading stocks again. I've been doing the research, been doing my due diligence on this, and I'm actually pretty excited. I've been tinkering with my back testing, and I'm actually probably next month I'll probably set up a live capital scenario on a brokerage. I've pretty much already selected what brokerage I want to trade on, but before I say it on the channel or give you guys any kind of influence as to where I want to trade, I do want to kind of go out there and figure it out for myself. But I already have a pretty firm idea of what brokerage I'm going to trade on. A lot of these brokerages have reduced the fees, which is the only reason I'm considering trading on them. Not that the fees would hurt me in the first place, but looking at how the altcoin market, which had provided a lot of diversification to my trading previously, they're highly correlated. And although we are highly profitable with it, I think it does make sense, because when I'm running when I'm looking at how PTP performs on stocks, it's just absolutely amazing. It just adds a little bit of diversification and a little bit of stability to one's trades. And again, you don't want, just as I recommend with investing, you don't ever want to be all in on one asset class, especially from the perspective of trading. And since we are dollar-based traders, it does make sense. Not that I'm no sentiment that I'm bearish on altcoins whatsoever. But again, moving 20 to 30% of my trading activity over to stocks, I think is a good choice. And I haven't made that decision yet. I'm still just trading Forex and cryptocurrency right now. But I think that's a nice, good transition. And honestly, having more, here's the thing, man. Cryptocurrency is where I've been the most profitable over the last 3 years. And the reality is, when you do diversify into other markets, you don't become so dependent on the cryptocurrency markets that you begin entering into trades that you probably shouldn't, because you're desperately looking for a trade. And sometimes there's just no trade to take. Sometimes the best position is flat, and being flat is a position. And I think that some people can struggle with that. So having access to other markets that are highly uncorrelated, I think does provide a good psychological background for people, because I've noticed that with my own trading in Forex as well. So. All right. Wow. Smooth. All right, so let's go check out Mr. Ethereum. Here we are on the ByBit chart, as we are wont to do. I don't really have as eloquent of a analysis on Ethereum, nor for EOS. Nor for ZERP, actually. But I think things are fairly clear here. We were in a long situation on Ethereum. We were in a long situation here from 2 days ago, held position open yesterday, held position open today, reached a high on today's candle of 195, which is beautiful. because just because it's beautiful. Just because it's beautiful. Not quite to my TP1 yet at this point in time. Price pulling down and trading at around 189.65. I really would like to see price sit and hold above 190. We do have some interesting things coming in here for Ethereum. So the first thing, as always, let's go look at PTP. We got confirmation of a full long signal over here on the 4th of November 2019. This was a continuation trade. What was quite nice about this is that we also had volatility, and you can see because of that rising volatility, we did actually push up on a little bit of higher volatility. Overall, price doing pretty much the same thing as Bitcoin. After a nice movement to the upside, consolidating above the baseline in bullish control zone, everything looking quite well. Kind of similar here for Ethereum. It depends on where the daily closes, because predicting that movement down between 88, 8,700 for Ethereum kind of makes me feel that the best possible scenario might be to go ahead and take my profit on Ethereum as well as the other majors. Now, obviously, EOS already hit my first take profit, so potentially that's something that we will reconsider, but nothing is signaling for that right now in the system. The system is telling us to go ahead and stay long. The only thing that makes me want to kind of put my hands on it a little bit is because of that. Is because of my thoughts on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin's going to move down to 88, 8,700, then very similarly, we're also going to see Ethereum and the other. Gosh darn it! Quit turning sideways. Just stop. I'm going to set you down, and it's going to turn sideways. Okay, it did not turn sideways. Technology is supposed to make our lives easier, guys. Then we're going to see Ethereum make a move down to like 176, 175, which would be, again, another good opportunity for reentry. But I always trade Bitcoin. I always feel more confident trading Bitcoin and taking, reversal baseline bounces and looking at this information far more so than anything else I trade. Everything else, I really just preferred it to absolutely stay just right to the system, right to the strategy. Interesting things on Ethereum. What are we dealing with right now? Let's look at the order block that we're kind of butting up against. That is going to be this bad baby right here. It's a very thin order block, which is exactly how I like them. It stretches from 191.75 to 193.20. Again, this is on the ByBit chart. So if the prices on your exchange are a little different, just make sure to adjust for the actual data that you're looking at, because the market is being made by different individuals depending on what market you are trading on. Interestingly enough, if we go back and if we look back in time, this level does have some confluence with horizontal support and horizontal resistance throughout 2019, all the way back to August as well. Again, this is the daily time frame. Price has wicked right up into that area. Price has wicked right up into that area. In retrospect, would have been a good TP opportunity. What we're looking for is obviously a nice strong cross and close above this level. That would generate a more traditional price action style breakout. And again, one thing that I want to point out, if we kind of zoom out, we talked about this yesterday with Ethereum. And again, not to get into chart patterns, but it's just good when they add levels of confluence. There is one particular price action pattern that I do look for, which is after a dive down into support or a previous level or a demand zone, we have price butt up against a level of resistance, form a higher low that maintains that low above the median of the range between the high and low, between the drive down into demand and the rejection from resistance. So this is this white line right here. We have the drive down into demand, and then an ascension and a rejection from resistance. So we can see that we do form a higher low following that does hold above the median line. And again, in this case, the Donchian line, the baseline, puts in a higher low and then comes up to butt against resistance again. This is the breakout. This is the pre-breakout price action that I do look for, that I do like to see. So I think this looks quite good. In the realm of Bulkowski chart patterns, there is also what we're going to call a W pattern here. Now, what's interesting about this is that I'd be a little bit more liberal with this and be looking for this breakout above 193.20 or 191.75 to confirm this, rather than waiting for an ascension above the 220 level, which I think is an appropriate looking at overall. Looking at the market right now, I don't think that's actually appropriate. And actually, I would view this more as a take profit area, because as we can see, if we do chart the order block from that zone, it's beautiful. Resistance, 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 and we are just trying to get from here to here. So I do think that 220 represents a good maybe final target for the long trade on the breakout above 193. That is quite a profitable trade. That is the setup that I'm looking for. I am looking for about a 20% movement up to the 220 area. Some of the other analysts in the group are actually a little bit more bullish, looking for like 250 or 260. I'm a little bit more conservative than they are right now on Ethereum. I would prefer to see price get up to 220 and, establish, basically reclaim this level, reclaim that level, turn this order block, turn this resistance order block or this bearish order block into a bullish breaker, meaning a breakthrough. And then I'll be looking to basically take BPC trades, any pullbacks into that zone, as well as any PTP signals as well. So right now, still looking for PTP signals. Again, PTP has us in a long anyways. So trend following, we're looking for a long anyways. If obviously I do have to kind of contend with the fact that if I do anticipate a pullback on Bitcoin, then I do have to anticipate a pullback on Ethereum. So it is possible kind of, I'll wait until tonight, until we do the evening scan and we do the evening analyst roundup with the team. I'll kind of see what their sentiments are and just basically take a vote and see if we want to go ahead and close these positions out in profit and wait for a pullback or re-enter on the confirmed breakout, or if we're just going to hold the positions open. I think most likely with Ethereum, or excuse me, with EOS, we will definitely just hold the position open because that's already in a no-lose situation. With Ethereum and XRP, potentially might be a little bit more conservative. Now, again, haven't gotten an early exit signal, however. So now that's where I'm at with Ethereum. Looking at EOS, basically the exact same thing. I don't see any really significant structures in price right here. Yeah, I don't see any order blocks that jump out at me. I don't see any fairly significant areas of support or resistance. Just looking at VPVR, if we zoom out and look at all of EOS, USD on ByBit, we have, obviously we did the most of our accumulation and distribution right here at this level. Huge, massive sell-off, right here around 330, which brought us down to this accumulation zone. We have now broken back above that and are now, kind of looking to trade upwards from that. So that's kind of, that's quite bullish to reclaim the point of control. There's less historical price data on here, which is actually good for looking at points of control on VPVR. We don't want all this kind of historical data. So we are already holding that level. Thank you. We are already holding that historical level right here. Or excuse me, not a historical level because we don't have far back historical price data here on the ByBit chart, which is good, as I said, for looking at point of control and VPVR, because you don't really want to clutter your data up with all of that historical data. You want to look at more recent market activity. But again, that's really all I have to go off with EOS. It's much more clean, much more simple if we're just looking at PTP. In the case of EOS, which, as I've already said, when we're trading anything but Bitcoin, I feel far less comfortable doing anything that's not very strict PTP. So PTP, again, gave us a long signal over here on the 4th of November, 2019. Everything confirmed this was a continuation trade. We did have some nice, good bullish expansion from this. Hit take profit one, having a little bit of a pullback right now, holding the trade open with a stop loss at break even. I don't see anything to do right now. There's no reason to change anything. Looking over at XRP. Kind of a very similar situation. Again, nice stab down. Again, we held that low. We held that closing low above the median of the range, also held the baseline, and just consolidating in the bullish control zone. Everything is telling us, again, we got the long signal very similarly over here on the 4th of November, 2019. Haven't had a whole lot of bullish price appreciation overall sideways. I am still looking for a breakout on this one. Again, if we also look at VPVR on this one is also interesting because we have done the exact same thing. Right now, we are currently consolidating right at the most heavily traded area of volume. I think that price and overall price for the markets is on the way up, and I think that we are just establishing these levels, these floors of support before that expansion. Yes. Okay, so we'll take another brief pause here at 12:42. Let's look at the chat. And then we'll go take a look at FX. That's one large pizza with a narrow wedge like this. DIY guy says, crown, crown, crown. Why such silly? Why much lie? Oh, sorry. We need to look at Litecoin and Overstock as well, which we'll do right now. Thank you, Mike Marcus. He says, very interesting theory on diversification. And you know maybe better than anybody in here, based on our conversations. DIY guy, what are you talking about, bro? He says, you made, I'm trying to pull through your comments here. You said something about burnt through 1K in less than 24 hours with just fees off my beep head. Oh my God, I can't believe I did it knowing what I was doing and how it will end up. Let me know what you're talking about, man. Am I thinking about any long-term dividend plays? I am a dividend, so I do have a, to me, fairly large stock portfolio, and it's almost all exclusively dividend stocks. That's been my wealth generation passive income plan since I was 20. Been slowly accumulating those positions. I do Money Mondays. I purchase stocks and long-term holds on all my investments at least once a month, depending on how aggressive I'm feeling, maybe once a week, Money Mondays. You know, I utilize Wealthfront for high interest cash savings. I'm actually considering some companies like Nexo or Binance Lending, potentially diversifying a little bit like that. I wouldn't want to do it with large positions because, again, cryptocurrency is, to me, my gold, my savings, my long-term hold, my long-term investment and hedge against everything. I also have precious metals as well. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of dividend stocks. That is, I mean, that's been a long journey. It's taken about 10 years, but you eventually get to a point where you are earning pretty good passive income from that. And that's just another, I mean, it's just another piece in the puzzle of never going to work for somebody else again. Make no one money but yourself and your family. That is the goal. That is the ethos. And if you start right now, doesn't matter how old you are. If you're 40, cool, you'll be set up by the time you're 45, maybe by the time you're 50. It just takes work and patience. And the reason that I trade and teach people how to trade is because that's the way they can make the transition now. You can use trading to earn active income. We're not trying to beat Bitcoin's return. We're not trying to beat the buy and hold return. We're not trying to say that you shouldn't invest in Bitcoin. I'm trying to say that you can take advantage of market volatility to earn 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. It depends on your capital, obviously. But if you can trade and earn a steady active income, because you're going to have to expend labor to earn money, would you rather go to work, wake up at 9? I've got a clip. I'd love to put it in the OBS. Hold on. Let's see if I can't pull it up. And then we'll look at Litecoin. Just a second. It's going to be in my downloads folder. Where's it? Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay. This is what I felt like every day working from 9 to 5. So thank you very much for this, brought to us by good friend and member of Kraken Cryptocurrency. Let's oh my God. I love it so much. That's how I felt every day working a 9 to 5. So you can trade to avoid that. What do I think of the S&P? I think we're going to go higher. Is there any exchange for crypto with minimum or zero trading fees? Not to the best of my knowledge. D-Live, Squeaky Tadpole says, anyone else have trouble with Brave and getting their tokens from ADS this month? Looks like maybe a new upgrade. No, not to the best of my knowledge. You know, I am a Brave verified publisher, so people do help out on the show. You guys can donate Brave tokens if you want. Yeah, I haven't had an issue with Brave. I'll look into it though. Do I use a baseline with stock trading? Oh, hold on. Caprica says, do I use a baseline with stock trading? Yes and no. So I have models that use a baseline. I have models that don't use a baseline. And there's about, for me personally, the models that I currently, well, I haven't actually ran a full model. Like I haven't run a full fleshed out absolute model like I would run currently for cryptocurrency or Forex on stocks. But my initial thoughts and my initial subjective backtesting is just using different implementations of baseline. But yes, I mean, there are a couple models that do and a couple models that don't. And when I'm kind of ready to teach my approach to stock trading, I'll explain all of that. It's, again, very, very almost identical to what I currently do. A couple changes. Do I think there will be more volatility in the FX or crypto markets over the span of this next quarter? So Q4 2019, both, to be quite honest. I really couldn't tell you. I mean, we've got a lot of activity in the Forex markets right now. However, we are having a little bit of a decrease in volatility due to a lot of consolidation of long-term positions, I believe. Whereas I think cryptocurrency is primed for the beginning of a huge, large movement. So I'd subjectively say crypto, but I don't really have a firm opinion on that. I did Binance lending yesterday for the first time, one exchange that has the cash if they get hacked. What's D-Live like? Is it like YouTube for assholes or something? D-Live's pretty awesome, man. It's Twitch built on Lino, basically, which is pretty neat. Okay, Litecoin and Overstock. So we will go to Litecoin right here. Let's see here. You know, full disclosure, I established, and the members know this as well, I began establishing a long-term hold position on Litecoin. Must have been about 3 weeks ago, and been DCing down into that. So I'm actually pretty happy with current price activity and price action. From a purely trading perspective, we did get a long signal on the close of this candle. You would have been able to catch this wick and definitely get filled on a TP1. You would have been out of the trade here and then re-entry on this candle. You'd probably be in a continuation long unless you would utilize this opportunity to take something like a reversal within the trend or a reversal baseline bounce in the vicinity, or if you would have turned on your volatility expander or your reversion to the mean strategy, which is typically what you're going to do directly after a very large volatile movement, and you'd probably be in an active position right now. Again, tied to all the other majors, so exactly the same thing that we're looking at with all the other dollar pairs. If we go back to the genesis of, I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything here. Yep, here it goes all the way back. Make sure. Yep, it goes all the way back to the it goes all the way back to the break. So pretty good. I feel pretty confident. So let's just start from here. If we look at kind of the current horizontal level that we're dealing with, which is going to be this order block, which as you can see has a pretty good confluence right here for being the top of this parabolic cycle. And that's about it. Access support here, acts as resistance here until it's broken through, access support, broken through, and this is the area overhead that is going to be currently acting as resistance. I bet, and I could be wrong, let's look at VPVR. So we are above the point of control on VPVR, but still, right? I mean, if you look at this huge high volume node cluster, I mean, we are in the accumulation zone for Litecoin, and that is exactly the argument that I made when explaining and analyzing my long-term position on Litecoin. If you look at the BTC chart, it's actually a little bit more clear, but in the BTC chart, this is an area where prices come down to multiple times and put in 100% rallies. I think that the risk far outweighs the reward. I am long kind of to the not to the gills because I'm not all in. It's just I have a fairly significant bag of Litecoin right now. So full disclosure, you know, if you guys think that I have any bias in my analysis, I am overall quite bullish on Litecoin long term. However, looking at where we are at right now, I mean, you should be in an active position. I think that it's possible that this position does end up getting stopped or wicked out potentially, because I would feel that if Bitcoin makes a move back down to 88, 8,700, very similar for Litecoin, we're going to see a movement down to 55.81. However, on the same fact, Bitcoin does not have to wick down that far, and we can just go ahead and get some bullish. All it's going to take is the books are starting to get thinned out. All it's going to take is one large mover to push price up above our current level of resistance on Bitcoin, and all the other dollar pairs are going to follow it. So, first stop to the upside for Litecoin is, as I said, about 66.50, stretching up to 67.74. I would like to see a nice clean break at that level if I were looking for a traditional price action breakout trade to take price up. Is there a nice, again, I'd just be using Quadriga because I don't really see anything super attractive or predictive for targets other than just using previous highs and previous liquidity rate areas. So, we're going to be talking about overall like $78. Again, overall, I'm looking for higher targets on LTC for the long term. But as we sit right now, I think one should have been in an active position. If one agrees with me, if one feels that it is more likely that we take a stab down on Bitcoin, the dollar pairs are going to follow it, meaning you're probably not going to get stopped out, but you are going to be in drawdown for a while. And if you're uncomfortable with that, then exit out of your position and wait to take a breakout trade above 67 as it sits right now. Otherwise, look to reestablish your position right around 55.80, 56, 55.80. That's my feeling on Litecoin right now. And OSTK. Bump, 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 ba da 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 da. Okay. Overstock.com. I don't really feel that OSTK has great fundamentals. It is a darling of the crypto world. So let's go to the monthly. Okay, so here's the reality. Where are we at right now? We are pretty much at the market bottom. Meaning, if you feel that Overstock has good fundamentals, if you feel that Overstock has good leadership, if you feel that Overstock is diversified enough to weather financial storms, then this is when you begin establishing long-term positions. You begin establishing long-term positions in Overstock. You begin dollar cost averaging, and that's just what you do. This is how I fundamentally pick stocks. It's largely fundamental analysis, and then I look for the technicals to align. I like to buy stocks cheap. That is how I have always added to my dividend portfolio. Not always, but for the most part, what I look for when I'm shopping for stocks. From a trading perspective, Kendi, I will definitely check out HL. And BSV, you want me to check out, I'll do that right after the break, and then we're going to hop into the news segment. So when we return from the break, BSV and HL for you, my friend. Again, I don't really believe in the fundamentals of Overstock, and I know that's, Patrick Byrne and blah, blah, blah. But you guys read the news. Like Patrick Byrne is not Overstock.com. So, it hasn't been for a while. So, from a trading perspective, the only thing that I really see on the monthly are a couple low volatility dojis, which I do like to see. Those are signs of reversals, especially after a big movement to the downside. This kind of indicates, and we also have a pre-buy right here. So this kind of indicates that those who are trying to accumulate OSTK are most likely accumulating now, and the power of the sellers to push price down further is quite low, especially because at this low of the market bottom, you're going to have interested buyers stepping in. Huge decline on Overstock, over this year and reaching in the last year down almost 100%. Actually, no, that's a little bit of a hyperbole because 100% is a big difference from 90%. From its peak, down currently about 80%. Wick down to almost 90% low, which again, gains are harder to make than not an Overstock. Is big bullish appreciation and then longer to actually knock down the market, but still, I digress. From a trading perspective on OSTK, the only thing I see is potentially regular bullish divergence. We have a big sell-off. We have this low. If you look at time transformation, we have these lows right here. And then we are looking to cross and curl over right here with this latest one. We are curling right now. We haven't crossed yet. But if we do cross and close, that'll be confirmation of regular bullish divergence. I could see price going to fill this gap. I could see price going to fill the gap between 1387 and 1488. But this isn't a trade I'd take. This is not a trade I would take in the term in the form of following my strategy and looking for setups. This doesn't look attractive to me. Now, if we go to the monthly, then this starts to look attractive if, and again, if you believe in the fundamentals of OSTK. I don't. So my answer might be different from you, my friend. All right, we are gonna take a brief break, guys. And again, let me refresh your guys' memory. Just 1 second. There's got to be a. Can I? Studio mode. Oops. Come on, man. You are freaking out, man. Come on. How do I? That's annoying. You know, I was looking for a good way to do this. I can't really think of one. Anyway, so I completely digress from that. I was trying to play this video, but technical difficulties, so we won't worry about it. Now, listen, guys. As we do on this channel, we are always trying to direct people away from things that I think are not conducive to them earning money. This is literally what we're dedicated to on this channel. So a lot of you guys are going to be watching and looking for a platform to trade on, and a lot of individuals trade on BitMEX. There's nothing wrong with that, but I am not a huge fan of how they operate over there at BitMEX. I mean, I think if you are looking for an exchange to trade on, there's worse choices. I mean, you could definitely be trading on worse exchanges. You could be trading on Bit7 for the love of God, because that's just the exchange that I trade on is ByBit. I really like them. Great customer service guys. If you guys would like to make the switch from BitMEX as well and get an idea of why I do that, there is a link down in the description, or you can use ByBit.crackingcryptocurrency.com. Yes, that is the third time I think I've said cracking crypto. Gonna have to make a meme about that. Anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts, your comments, your opinions in the comment section. We are going to take a brief break so I can refresh my water cup. And this is usually where I'd make a substance related joke, but I don't use substances, so haha. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back. When we return, we're going to take a look. We're going to continue to talk about Bitcoin. We're going to take a look at Bitcoin Cash SV. We're also going to take a look at HL, and maybe even we'll look at ZAG and silver for Ken, my friend. And then we've got a lot to get into, guys. We're going to talk all about China, Asian nations, and their adoption of blockchain technology, and what price do we have to pay as a community for this bullish wave of adoption, going back to the original ethos of blockchain and Bitcoin technology. So stay tuned, guys. You don't want to miss that. I'll be right back. Do some calisthenics while I'm gone. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back. We are here live in the scene. Thank you guys so much for hanging on. All of you guys watching across YouTube, Twitch, DLive, Facebook Live, and of course on Roku. Highly appreciate it. If you missed the first hour of the show, make sure to go back and watch that because we did break down what's going on in the cryptocurrency markets. And we're going to break down what's going on in the realm of psychology, in the realm of awareness, coming here very shortly. But by request for our good friend Ken D, BSV, and HL. So hold that thought, and here we go. Hecla Mining Company on New York Stock Exchange. Mr. Kendi, is this going to be acceptable? Take off dividends and earnings for right now because we do know that earnings is coming up tomorrow. Just waiting to get a yes from Mr. Kendi. Okay, good. All right, so here we are on the monthly. Earnings are coming out tomorrow. From a purely raw, do I want to add this to my portfolio perspective? The answer would be yes. Again, if you believe in the fundamentals, you are in an accumulation point. Look at this. This area has shown pretty significant support for HL previously in the past. Let's actually go down and trace out the genesis of this order block, which is going to be right here in my estimation. This is the lowest low, the actual body of the candle before I shift in market structure. So that is the lowest low. And we can see that this is a geography of the chart, which has, again, supported price fairly well. Never really made it down toward there. But again, we can use a variance range utilizing average true range or ATR bands to say that, yes, this is a pretty decent accumulation point. If we wanted to be a little bit more specific, we could just draw a line here, but that's not important, neither here nor there. You could also, again, I don't see any issue with utilizing this as your order block potentially, or even this green candle potentially as an order block to get a tighter fit. But overall, I think that this works out quite well. So around 63 cents, I think would be that's a pretty big dive down. Now on the monthly though, I think we're in pretty good territory. Overhead resistance at $3.61. I don't actually really see us a whole lot from going there unless we do get a significant breakdown of the stock. Obviously, price has traded this low before and put in a pretty good rally from this area. I'm not familiar with this particular company. I'm not particular with their fundamentals, so I cannot really say that this is something that I would buy. This isn't something I buy because I only buy stocks that I've researched and I believe in the fundamentals on. From a monthly perspective, though, looks to be in a decent accumulation area. Again, I wouldn't not be surprised to see price in this area. It's potential that positions, long-term positionals on this could have a lot of drawdown. I mean, that is an 80% movement from where we're currently at all the way down. A little bit more subjectively, this monthly hasn't closed. I'd like to see the structure of this monthly candle. I don't really like seeing dojis after a pretty nice movement up on the monthly. Although I will say that volume is getting pretty good. As you can see, there is a pretty good spike in volume right here on this lowest low, which is obviously what we've seen here. What we're looking for obviously is this volume on ascending candles, which we are beginning to see a little bit. I would like to see that volume follow through. As soon as we start to see a fall off in volume and something like a doji, this is something where I'd probably cut tail and run. If I'm trading less very long-term positionally and more, I'm going to get out at the first sign of trouble, which when I haven't researched the stock and I find myself in a position is exactly where I'm at. Going down to the daily, looking for a little bit of a tighter fit. On the daily, though, we do seem to be a little bit overextended. Let's keep it very, very simple, very, very basic. We have a good PTP long signal. No. Here, actually, we can enter into a position on this candle. We have 2 days of drawdown, and then we're able to capture profit on this movement. Let's see here. We do have a continuation trade here, potentially catch that gap for a quick profit, but most likely that's going to be a break-even or losing trade because we do get the exit signal right here. Trade here, get this gap up, grab some profit on here, probably TP1, and then we get another fully fledged long signal on this candle right here. So PTP would have caught us for this last move as well. So profitable trade, losing trade or break-even trade, profitable trade or break-even trade, and profitable trade. So overall, PTP doing very well on Hecla Mining Company. You know, this is an interesting, I don't really have any comments on how this looks right here, where you have a swift move to the upside, kind of a steep dive down, and then just a continuation. If we look at what PTP is telling us to do, which is how we can avoid the subjectivity, we just simply don't have a reentry signal right now, and that's probably a good thing. As we can see, overall, Minx on its way down, kind of letting us know, because Minx does turn a little bit presciently, it seems. Especially with earnings coming out tomorrow, this is definitely an area where if I was long, I would definitely be looking to take my profits. We are having a nice little bit of anticipation prior to that. We are currently trading at $2.40. So we are getting good expectations for the earnings, which again, I would have to research, like, how do earnings typically play out? You know, all of this data is easily obtainable on Yahoo Finance. You know, what have earnings been for the last like 5 years? What have earnings been like? You know, how often do we meet expectations? How often do we overperform? Those are all metrics and stats that you want to look at. It's never good to gamble if you're unsure. I mean, the simple answer is just hedge. The simple answer is, if you're unsure, exit your position or grab an options contract that allows you to have very limited downside exposure and basically protect yourself. So you can hedge many, many ways with an options contract. If you're not good at that, then I don't recommend trying to learn overnight. You're probably going to do it wrong. Overall, again, with earnings coming out tomorrow, exit the position, be safe, and wait for a reestablishment. You don't want to trade into fundamental news events, especially if you're already unsure. It's just not a good way to trade. There are so many good, consistent setups. If you trade a wide breadth of the market and you trade uncorrelated sectors, there's no reason to make this a darling. Like, this isn't the trade that if you're not in, you're gonna regret it forever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it goes up 100%. It doesn't matter. There'll be other ones. There'll be other trades. There's always another trade, and we have to trade agnostically and aggressively at times. But this is an area where I'd look to take some profit. I don't really like that swift, sharp sell-off and the immediate recovery. Again, good expectations, it seems, for earnings tomorrow. But again, with earnings coming out, seems like a good opportunity to basically sell the current top. And you never want to snide at that. I don't know what your entry was. Don't know what your expected profit is. But obviously, I feel like you're in profit and you've been riding the trade for a while. So I would look for a re-entry somewhere around $2.07 or another confirmed long breakout signal. So wait for earnings to die out, let volatility calm down a little bit, and then look for a good re-entry when you get another good signal, which right now we're not getting. But we are in bullish mode, so we would be looking for longs. But again, I wouldn't be adverse to seeing, if we have negative earnings tomorrow, I would not be adverse to see, this is a fairly volatile stock, I would not be adverse to see a pullback to $2.07, back to the baseline, see if we hold that level and see if we can get a nice kickoff. Other than that, I don't really see anything that stands out to me. Except for the monthly chart being in an attractive area of accumulation. But again, I would want to see this play out, because we actually have not gotten a monthly signal. The 1st of July. Incorrect. We could have gone long here on the 1st of July on the monthly. No, I'm sorry. No. The CCI is not confirming. So we're just not there yet. We're not even there for a positional monthly trade. And for monthly trades, we would not be looking at the baseline. So if we can get commodity channel index above 0 and get a nice spike in volatility, which might come if we have a good month of November for Hecla, I would be a little bit more positive on it for a reversal trade. As it sits right now, no firm opinion. I would take profit in anticipation of earnings tomorrow. BSV. On the old Bitfinexico. $2.7% in 3 days. Wish I could do that every day. Hell yeah, man. Well, every day you'll have to wait for 3 days. That's how it works. You know, I got to make this quick because we got to get to the news, but let's just look at where we're at in relation to PTP. Continuation long trade yesterday on BSV. Again, one would have established a long position on the closure of this candle. You would be right at break even right now, getting a little bit of a doji. I think this also kind of comports exactly with the other dollar pairs that we're looking at. Again, if Bitcoin makes a move down, then BSV is also going to make a move down again to the baseline. I mean, it moved and ascended essentially on the back of Bitcoin in the first place. You can see it pumps at exactly the same point, goes sideways at exactly the same point. The dollar pairs are correlated. Would have got to the initial long signal here. Right here on this candle, potentially here, in which case we would have had some drawdown, but we would have been able to capture this movement right here as well. So good things here for BSV. Obviously, we've had a couple very nice profitable potential setups on BSV. Fundamentally, I don't feel bullish about BSV, but it'll move with the rest of the market. So, you know, kind of looking for stabs down to about 118.70 is where the baseline is going to be at. I think there's justification for that based on kind of my sentiment and my analysis of the other USD markets as well. Or again, looking for that. You know, I think the Ethereum breakout, which has very clean levels, the Bitcoin breakout, which has very clean levels, I think is going to be the impetus on if you don't want to take Bitcoin long and you want to trade Bitcoin long by proxy by taking other dollar pairs. BSV doesn't seem like a terrible choice, but I don't trade BSV. So other than that, I don't really have strong opinions. It's moving right along with Bitcoin at this point in time. Moving right along with Bitcoin. Pumped at exactly the same time as Bitcoin, went sideways at exactly the same time as Bitcoin. Again, same kind of failure to achieve pattern, lower high, equidistant low. And most likely a movement down to 118.70. Don't have a strong opinion on it though. All right, to the news, guys. We've got some interesting stuff to talk about today. So, to start off with today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be talking about obviously the news that is on everybody's mind, which is China and Bitcoin mining. Is this bullish for Bitcoin? Is this bearish for Bitcoin? Let's have a conversation, because it was only 6 months ago when China's obviously government-controlled economic planning agency, which is the National Development Reform Commission, they released a long list of industries that they thought were wasteful and that they wanted to ban in their nation state. It was on a list, seriously wasteful of resources, and these were industries and companies that were slated to be eliminated by the central planners. Now, as of today, however, let me back up here a little bit. So obviously, crypto mining was on that list. They were identified as a list of wasteful industries to be targeted. And obviously, this sent a lot of wave of concerns throughout the entire market and the industry that China was stepping up its multi-year long campaign to clamp down on cryptocurrency in their country. But now we have the news that is flooding the airwaves right now, that as of today, miners in China, cryptocurrency miners in China, will no longer have to have fear of a government-mandated crackdown on their mining operations. Because the latest update from the same economic planning agency, the NDRC, now recommends not phasing out the industry. The new recommendations were actually published in an official catalog that was released today, and the inclusion of cryptocurrency mining was conspicuously missing. Okay, so let's break that down. They publish, the central planners of China, the central economic planners of China, publish a list of wasteful industries that they want to start phasing out. Cryptocurrency mining, large and in charge on that list. They published the updated list today. Cryptocurrency mining not on the list. Now, China obviously has been attempting to clamp down on Bitcoin as far back as 2011, when they began engaging in pursuing a policy that many believed would eventually lead to the elimination of Bitcoin mining and possibly threaten adoption for cryptocurrency and Bitcoin specifically altogether, especially in the East Asian markets and places, honestly, where Bitcoin is needed the most. Totalitarian governments, non-confiscatable funds, hard money, Bitcoin, baby, go. Now, China's adversarial stance toward crypto and Bitcoin has unfortunately left a fairly dark cloud of uncertainty over the industry for years, with a large portion of the world's hashing power coming out of China, possibly being threatened by government policy. Now, many of the world's largest cryptocurrency mining manufacturers, which include Bitmain, Canaan, and eBank, are based in China. thanks to its leading role in technology manufacturing and development, as well as an abundantly cheap supply of electricity, thanks to their hydroelectric-rich and coal-powered generation grid. Again, the majority of Bitcoin mining operations are actually powered by hydroelectric operations from the mountains in China. So again, I can't help making stabs at the idea that Bitcoin is terrible for the economy or for the environment. Now, today's revelation obviously signals what could be an apparent U-turn by China's Development Commission, which follows on the heels of other recent bullish news that we covered previously, such as President Xi Jinping comments on blockchain or announcements by local government of blockchain development funds. And all of this leads us to the opinion and suggests that China is positioning itself to embrace blockchain technology, with some commentators on the industry, such as Samson Mao, who I had the pleasure to sit down with an interview at San Francisco Blockchain Week. Guys, make sure you look forward to that crypto currently coming out. But again, Samson Mao even echoing proposing that these are positive developments emerging from China as a signal that the crypto industry still has an extremely bright future ahead of it, a sentiment that I absolutely echo and agree with. But it is not all roses and funnel cakes at the racetracks, guys. Coupled with this exact same news, we have information coming out of Hong Kong that new regulations are going to be opening the door to crypto exchanges. So let's pile on some of this bullish news as well. Let's talk about this. Now, Hong Kong's financial regulators introducing new rules and licenses today, granting new operational freedom for cryptocurrency exchanges. Now, interestingly enough, though, the new rules released today apply only to platforms offering virtual securities. Now, these new regulations outlined matters of custody, KYC, the storage policy of crypto assets, and the provision of products by exchanges, while limiting these exchanges' access to professional investors as defined by Hong Kong's financial watchdog, the Securities and Futures Commission. Guys, very original with your wording there. The SEC, the SFC. Now, in its regulatory announcement from the SFC, which spanned over 60 pages, they outlined the new policy for this, in their words, new fintech sector, placing particular emphasis on the safe custody of digital assets, or in their words, crypto assets. Now, it defined eligibility criteria for new digital assets seeking access to regulated markets, as well as requirements for licensed exchanges. For instance, regulation will require that these platforms file monthly reports on their business activities to the SFC, basically reporting directly to the SFC. Hong Kong's SFC chief Ashley Alder, speaking on the announcement, said, quote, "The framework will enable what virtual asset trading platforms are to be regulated by the SFC, which is a major development which builds on a way forward." Now, Alder also stressed that the SFC is extremely concerned about digital asset platforms which offer futures contracts to the public, especially those that are highly leveraged, because again, all the regulators around the world are totally fine with large financial institutions leveraging themselves to the hilt and taking out massive loans and crashing the economy. But God forbid if you're able to go 10x on ByBit. I mean, we need to protect you, sir. We need to protect you from having the ability to make your own decisions, to lose your own money, to make your own money. In America, we need to take this even further. We need to not allow leverage. If you want to trade precious metals, it's 1-to-1 buckaroo and no CFDs, because Americans, you guys are stupid. You guys are not able to manage risk, even though it's not your fault. It wasn't your positions. It was Goldman Sachs, Lehman Brothers, all the other large institutional banks that leverage up to the hilt to crash the economy. Moving right along. Now, some are calling this new wave of regulatory approval coming from the Asian financial capital toward the crypto industry as a watershed moment. It is a seminal moment for financial services in Asia, and it points to an increased acceptance of digital assets as new types of financial instruments as approved and accepted by the regulators and by government. And that was according to Hugh Madden, who is the CEO of technology and digital asset trading company, the BC Group, talking to Reuters. Now, as I said, though, it's not all rainbows and sunshines, especially when we look at the bigger picture and we go back to the ethos of cryptocurrency. So let's look at some comments from Novogratz. Let's also look at some comments from Mr. Joseph Lubin, who I did have the pleasure to listen to at SFBW. Didn't have the opportunity to sit down and speak with him. A little too busy. Now, I just, I don't want to lean on the backs of these influencers or important individuals in the space, but it is important to point out what they are saying and reference that myself with an emphasis on liberty and freedom. Because here we have two very high-profile voices in the crypto space commenting on the recent developments coming out of China, the developments that we just brought to you right now. Now, while one sees this as largely positive and providing serious credibility for our industry, the other warns against the dangers of total financial control by governments leveraging the power of blockchain technology to gain unprecedented insight into your economic activity. So while speaking at the Global Investment Outlook 2020 Summit in New York on November 5th, Mike Novogratz, Galaxy Digital CEO, who you all know from the Bitcoin Please Go to Moon song, says that the Chinese president, Xi Jinping, granted credibility to blockchain and cryptocurrency, in particular when he recently called for the country to accelerate blockchain adoption. Now, Novogratz believes that the Chinese president's announcement in late October triggered the recent surge in Bitcoin's price. Now, by urging China to embrace blockchain technology for the sake of the country, he, quote, just credentialized crypto and blockchain, according to Novogratz. And that is currently the leading sentiment in the crypto space, that China opening up to the industry after years of skepticism will lead to significant growth in adoption in the space without much attention, in my opinion, being paid to the potential negative consequences to society at large. Now, in the other camp, we have Ethereum co-founder Joseph Lubin, who recently spoke to CNBC commenting on the Chinese crypto DCEP, which is the digital currency electronic payment, explaining why it is not crypto in the direct sense of the word, very similar to how we've talked about Libra. Now, obviously, Lubin is an expert in blockchain technology and cryptocurrency, and he explained his views on the new digital renminbi and why its launch and mandate is not about decentralization or economic liberty, and why it is very different from Ethereum or other decentralized cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. And in his words, he described China's interest in leveraging blockchain technology, again, not for the decentralization aspect, not for the increase in liberty, not for the increase in economic prosperity for its citizens, but rather to serve to scale the central bank, the People's Bank of China's ability to monitor and control economic activities of Chinese citizens and other dependents on the Chinese nation state at large. Now, this DCEP version of renminbi, so the digital renminbi is what I'm talking about here, this will grant even tighter control over the economy and individual lives, with Lubin even stating that the China coin will merely be a digital version of the yuan with advanced surveillance features. And he says, quote, from decentralization, you get trust. China is probably not interested in that aspect of blockchain technology. They, I believe, will bring digital renminbi that makes use of some elements, some of cryptographic primitives of blockchain technology, but there's no real reason for China to make use of decentralizing aspects of blockchain. Indeed, early interest from nation states on the topics of crypto technology has always had less to do with values of liberty and financial autonomy. I mean, In a recent report, it was revealed that the Bank of Canada commissioned an internal investigation on the benefits and applications of blockchain toward the economy and banking activities. And the major takeaways was over 12 points of benefits with only one negative. The predominant use case identified by the Bank of China was an unprecedented insight into all corners of economic and transactional activity. What that means is that they now have greater scrutiny over every single transaction that you make. Similarly, they cited their ability to counter money laundering, tax evasion, corruption, crime, terrorism. It was clear that central banking and big government could gain dramatically in terms of its ability to oversee, police, and intervene in society at even the microeconomic scale. Similarly, many other countries are showing increasing interest in adopting this technology and pushing it into their currencies and their economies, but they all seemingly share the exact same goal of bolstering their positions of centralized authority over their citizens through economic means. And unfortunately, while many of us in this space are extremely excited about the potential benefits of crypto to liberate and empower more individuals than ever before around the world, we need to remain vigilant and cognizant that this technology can be adopted by more malevolent forces for the purposes of surveillance and coercion of the state against the citizens. That's what I'm concerned about. That's what I'm worried about. And that is why I'm not, excited about this digital renminbi, about the Chinese gold-backed cryptocurrency, and about China's economic policies in the first place. So let me know what you guys think in the chat, in the comment section down below. Do you agree with me? Am I making too much of this? I'm concerned. And I think you guys should be as well. No problem, Kendi. Thank you so much for the requests, my good friend, and for your continued support. Lefty, GTMKIV, Mr. Spooner, good to see you guys. IbMoz76 says, part of China's social credit system, I can imagine. Ricky Thompson says, our stupid Canadian government is looking at following China. I want no part of that. You guys are lighting up now. Ian Corator says, with the advent of blockchain and crypto, it was bound to happen. It was bound to happen that we were going to have to face this threat at some point, just like we have to face the threat of corporate coins and the same danger that they pose as well. The question is, though, what do we do? Do we just sit here idly by? Again, I think that the best thing that we can do is promote true decentralized cryptocurrencies and do everything that we can to economically what we've seen throughout history is that nation states do not use economic control to the benefit of the citizens. I'm proud to be a citizen of my country. I believe in the men and women who have fought and died to protect this country and to protect other countries as well. There's nothing unpatriotic about standing up against something that your government is doing that is wrong and that you see that they've gotten wrong over and over and over, because every nation has gotten it wrong over and over and over again. Governments do not do well with control of the monetary supply. Money is a system to intermediate between barter, and we have seen the debasement and devaluation of the currency and debt and inflation be the death knell and the harbinger of war for almost every nation state throughout the history of our civilization. And we finally have an opportunity to change that and bring the issuance and control of money to the private market. And damn if I don't think we should do that. Ken D says, I'd like to see Crypto Jack versus Agency, BTC versus BSV. So Agency says that he would crush, and Jack throwing down the gauntlet saying, nope, I am familiar with your BSV argument. I would mount a counter. I would love to see that. The gauntlet has been thrown. If you gentlemen are interested in doing that, I would be happy to moderate. We can do that whenever you guys like. So, I don't think that the approach, I do think that a lot of anarchists or a lot of popular anarchists do have it wrong. And I don't have all the answers. I just know that I have seen through my studies of history that nation states, when they get control of the monetary supply, inevitably do bad things with them. And in the age of digital surveillance and privacy, and in the age of the internet and, again, technology, this is a extremely serious concern. And I have this fundamental belief that left to their own devices, human beings are pretty decent people. And it is generally fear, greed, and lust for power that causes problems. Now, those are intrinsic values. Those are intrinsic properties of being human. We all get mad. We all get angry. We all fear greed. We all feel lust. We all do bad things. But there's redemption for everybody, and we can always do better and strive to do better and strive to do better for ourselves and for our society. What we can do is look at ways where this is how society has done things forever, and it's never worked out in the past. And now we have technology that allows us to do things differently. Let us have and entertain the serious conversation of how we would like to restructure in small parts certain aspects of our society to potentially make and bring greater prosperity and economic liberty for human beings. And I think that bringing the issuance and control of currency into the private market is the right way. I don't think that we just need to abolish the government, but I don't see why the government cannot function without centralized authority of the monetary supply. That is exactly how America ran at its founding. We had commercial banks issuing their own currency, and there were problems, but we're here. We got through it. And I don't think that it was just the strong central bank argument that carried us along. It could be, again, if you look at central banking as a necessary evil or as a natural evolution of commercial banks printing their own private currencies, then we also have to assume that is an evolutionary aspect and worldview that as we progress and grow in knowledge and technology, we will change the way that we currently do things and have done things in the past. And I think that distributed decentralized currency in the form of Bitcoin is the next step forward in mankind's societal evolution, specifically with how we deal with economics. I do not think that the world will fall apart if governments lose control. I would like to see that worldview shift. I would like to see more power in the private market. I would like to see less power in the hands of governments. Thank you, Ricky. He says, you are a good host for a live stream. Do more. I would love to, my friend. Jack says, small block versus big block argument. It split the community up 2 to 3 ways up so far. Obviously, there's intelligent and reasoned arguments on both sides. I lean one way, but I'm not an ignorant fanboy. Hoo, 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 hoo. Hyperinflation isn't a real threat unless you have to pay debts in foreign currency, Justin. I don't think I ever mentioned hyperinflation. I think my entire point here is just a fundamental belief based on my readings of history that centralized control of money is not good for citizens in the hands of governments after they ossify to a certain degree. So after a couple hundred years, empires or nation states typically do okay with the monetary supply up until then, and then they just hit a wall, man, where it's like nothing positive goes beyond that wall and eventually collapse. Yeah, there's literally no example in history that hasn't ended that way, because there's no nation state now that was around 1,000 years ago. Again, the state cannot be thought of as a big household that can default. I'm not even talking about debt. I'm simply talking about the prosperity and freedom of individual citizens. And I think that that is impugned upon by centralized control of money issuance in the hands of a central authoritarian government. I'm not talking about abolishing the government. I'm talking about abolishing the Fed. Not just one thing. Now, we'll kind of see as we progress and grow through society whether that's a good idea or whether that's a bad idea. But I mean, we're active participants in this world that we call reality, man. Like, I'm alive. I have a voice. I have the right to issue my opinion. And there's millions of people around the world that agree with me. I mean, we have the right. We don't have to kowtow to the way things have been done all the time. Like, society is always progressing and advancing and developing new things. It's not a massive jump to just say, hey, man, we can still have basically everything the way that it is right now. And we're just going to take control of the money away from government. And they're not going to give it up willingly, because no nation ever has. I just think they'll be forced to eventually by the slow spread and adoption of Bitcoin and the provable evidence that it is hard money and that it's just better because it will maintain value when other things do not. And it will give people more purchasing power. Big block, take little block. You guys are funny. I think I was more specific. There are nation states that are definitely in the same geographic location, but I would argue that they do have different governmental structure. We have shifted quite a bit around. Like, for example, if you want to go back to that old history of Switzerland, they weren't always the republic that they are today or the democracy that they are today. There used to be kings and queens. So there's no nation state in the form of a democratically elected, a republic, a democratically elected republic, or something very similar to that. I don't want to get into the nuance off in the weeds because I don't think that's meaningful. I mean, we can broadly say democracy, and although there are nuances, I think a lot of first world countries typically operate the same way, and people just really get stuck in the weeds with the little differences. In general, the government is there to serve the people. The leaders of the government are democratically elected, and the citizens have recourse if they feel that the government is impugning and impinging upon their rights. But more specific to that is central banking. There's no nation that's had a centralized version of central banking monetary authority that has survived. That is still survived. That hasn't gone through economic collapse. And especially if you view, America as more of an empire state, which I don't really get into that conspiracy theory type stuff, but you could definitely make the argument. It is definitely valid with its, control over the petrodollar and its, economic hegemony over the world and the United States dollar being the reserve currency. Definitely an argument there. And I think that's just something that we're going to see. I think that's just something. Right. China has been around forever. So has Japan. Right. And those were previously empires and now are not. So again, there's no nation state that just further gives credence to my point. Everything is evolving all the time. Government structures are evolving all the time. Forms of money are evolving all the time. The way that we treat each other, the way that we view society, the way that we live, the way that we love, those things are always evolving all the time. So I just don't understand these philosophical arguments that, like, this is the way that society will always be. This is logical. This, and I'm a very logic-based individual myself, and and I consider myself a philosopher. These are topics that I've studied quite a bit, but there is entropy in every system. Everything moves toward chaos. It is a shift in balance between chaos and order, and chaos and order. So, and again, we are also evolving societally, technologically, physically. I don't think there's a lot of teeth to arguments that say this just works because we have it, and therefore new forms will not work or are doomed. That's a challenge. Like, okay, cool. We'll just prove you wrong. Like, just like we proved people wrong with the internet, just like we proved people wrong with cell phones, just like we proved, commercial banks wrong with central banking, just like we proved, hard currency with soft currency, as we currently do. I mean, everything is a continual, there's instaunched versions of ways to do government, and they develop a following, and they develop a society, and they build up political classes, and they're like, this is the way things are. And then something comes along to knock their walls down and change things. That's the way life's always going to be. So I think that it's provable that government control of the monetary system is not a good thing in the long run for its citizens. Just negative things seem to happen, and we have all kinds of evidence of that around the world. And I think that the way forward, I think that the next evolution of money is decentralized hard currency. Digital, decentralized hard currency. Prove me wrong. But this is getting off the rails a little bit. 10 minutes left. Let's check in with Bitcoin. Leave your comments in the section down below. Tell me how wrong I am. Please feed me with your hate. Feed me with your love. I'm just kidding, guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for the comments. I disagree with some of you in part. I agree with some of you in part. And honestly, I just think it's good that we're having this conversation. There's no, I'm totally right, you're totally wrong. This is just my opinion. And I appreciate you guys showing up every single day and engaging in this conversation, because this is how we grow as a community. This is how we deal with these issues that we're faced with as a society, is we have a conversation about them. We have two options. We can fight about them, or we can have a conversation about them and attempt to reach a compromise. And I like that feeling after having a good conversation with somebody that you initially came into the room with to disagree with, and you are leaving the room as friends. It's a good feeling. Intraday. Intraday on Bitcoin right here, basically just a sell-off over the last, 4 to 6 hour period, bottoming out right at our previous support level. So we do have somewhat of a double bottom scenario going on right here. This is a level of support that we've held for quite a while. Again, price currently trading here on the Bitstamp chart at about 93.03. Again, I would not be surprised to see a stab down lower. Again, I'm not a huge intraday trader. I don't see a lot of opportunity here. We did get a nice bounce off the bottom here and rejection from the baseline, which did happen here initially. Rejection from the baseline. What we'd be looking for right now, I think, excuse me, guys, is we'd be attempting to establish a higher low. We'd be attempting to establish a higher low right about here, and then looking for that nice breakout intraday above something like 9,300 to see if we can take price right up to about 9,390 and potentially get that movement up above 94.27. That's where I really want to see price to give me confidence to take something like a long swing to the upside, looking for that breakout trade. Until then, we're still range bound on low volatility today especially, but this is also the moment where you want to be vigilant. So price action wise, that's what I would be looking for. See if we establish a little bit of a higher low here intraday. See if we can get here above 93.12. That might be your impetus to take price up to resistance at about 94.27. And then on higher time frames, such as the daily, looking for that close into that level above 90. Let's actually delete these and go look at that chart on the daily. Again, looking for that break up above 94.27, seeing a nice close on the daily in between 94.27 and 96.99 to be looking to take price to the upside for a swing trade. Looking down at something like the 2 hour. The 2 hour looks like a good reversal entry here. I would like to see a little bit of bullish appreciation right here. On the 4 hour, nothing really indicative. The 4 hours not setting us up for anything. Volatility is quite low. That's why we're not getting a short signal, which is good. Did get we didn't give it a 2 hour short signal. So there's just really very little to do here, but this is exactly the moment when you want to be prepared. And again, I think that the direction is up, but I do think it is likely that we get a little bit of a stop loss on 88, 89, 87 potentially before we can reevaluate the situation. Hey, thanks so much, Emily. Hopefully you're doing well over there. Miss both you and Scott. Got to see Scott more recently, but miss seeing you as well. Hopefully you're doing great. Everything is chaos and disorder. Okay, Jeff Goldblum. Yes. I said chaos and order. What about the theory that we need a centralized form of government in order to stop other entities from taking over? I guess other entities would also not have control over the monetary supply. I would argue that the American Revolution did not require centralized issuance of currency in order to stop hostile invaders. And I would also argue that this is why America hasn't been invaded. We got a lot of guns. Nope, never thought that in the first agency. I enjoy it. And, listen, I enjoy the rapport, man. I enjoy the conversation. I don't have all the answers, man. There's stuff I'm uneducated about. I say wrong things all the time, and I appreciate you guys correcting me and making me think about things in a new way. I will probably think about this conversation all day long. All right, guys, I think that's a pretty good place to cut it. Let's go talk about how you guys can engage with the community a little bit more. Hi, welcome to the Wide Shot. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, it has come to my attention that some of you guys are not in the Discord, and that is a crying shame, because what are you going to do when I'm not live? How are you going to know what we're trading? How are you going to ask questions? I mean, how are you even going to live? How am I going to live, to be quite honest with you? Because I don't think I could do all of this without the community support and help. So make sure you guys join the community, hop in the Discord, discord.crackingcryptocurrency.com. It's going to bring you immediately to a page where if you do not have a Discord account, you can easily sign up. You don't have to give them real information, give them fake information. They just want an email so you can sign up and hop in the Discord community. If you guys don't know what Discord is, you've heard of Telegram, it's like that, but without all the scammers. And less one moon, sir. So hop in our Discord community. Would love to hang out with you guys and talk a little bit more. That's where we keep the conversation going after the show. If you guys would like to work with us on your trading strategy, if you guys would like to use our proprietary indicators, if you guys would like to use our custom spreadsheets, our trade logging system, if you guys would like access to our proprietary risk management system, as well as everything that we do in-house and personal mentorship, and you want to take those first steps toward financial freedom and use trading, again, not to beat the market, not to get rich quick, but as an opportunity to never go to a 9-to-5 job again, which has been a long journey, but has been very rewarding. And I'm very blessed and pleased to bring people on that same journey to financial freedom as well. Make sure to check out what we do at premium.crackingcryptocurrency.com. Links right up there. It's also in the description as well. If you have any questions, please reach out to us in the Discord. Talk to any of our senior or junior analysts. Talk to any of our administrators, any of our moderators. We'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. If you guys like the video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button. Give us a follow. Consider subscribing if you're on Twitch or DLive. It is highly appreciated. By the way, I think it is a good day. Let's take a gander here and see. Let's open up that chest on DLive. There you guys go. Thank you guys so much for the support over there on DLive. Just opened up the chest and distributed those rewards. I will be adding to that every single day. So make sure if you guys want to check out a platform that is a little bit more kind to crypto streamers, come check us out on DLive at dlive.tv/cracking_crypto. Maybe it's just cracking crypto. There's a link in the description. Got one of those right. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, sarcastic remarks, and or death threats, comment section is where you leave those, please, if it's a death threat. Also address your personal home so we can have a conversation about said death threat. Thank you guys so much for the love, for the support. Guys, trade safely. I'll be back tomorrow, same time, same crypto network, distributed across the internet at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, because it's not CDT time anymore. Make sure, by the way, that you guys need to trade an hour earlier now if you're trading the daily close, because the daily close is an hour earlier. Daylight savings time. Much love, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Trades. That was cheers, but it came out trayers. Like, man, whatever, man. Like, peace out, guys.